Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's Donna Maria. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And this is the second Lifestyle CEO show. And I'm starting to settle in here. You know how when you start something new, you're a little bit nervous. You're not sure what's going to happen. You want everything to be perfect, but nothing's ever perfect. But you feel like you have something in your heart and in your soul and in your mind and in your spirit that you need to share, that people need to hear, and that people can benefit from. And so you just, throw off every heavy weight that might be holding you back from doing what you feel called to do, and you line up all the pucks and you hit them. You get ready. So listen, I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks to everyone who might be joining us live, and also special thanks to you if you're looking at this on the replay. Please leave a note below. Let me know that you're here. Let me know what you think, and please do also share with a friend. If you think I'm sharing some information that might be useful to some of your friends, your family members, and in particular, aspiring entrepreneurs or people who already have a business and might just need a little boost and a little oomph from someone like me who's been in the trenches for a long, long time and can really be helpful in terms of mentoring and coaching and guiding them. So listen. Yesterday, we talked about what the Lifestyle CEO show is and what it is going to continue to be. And we also talked about the 3 things you need to think about before you even get started with building a business around your life. And the reason this is so important is because I think there's a lot of mistakes that we as entrepreneurs make, but I have to tell you the one that I see the most is that people simply start a business because it's something they love to do, something they feel called to do, but they don't think about what they want their lives to look like first. And so sometimes they end up building a business that doesn't really serve their lives, and there's a disconnect, like there's tension. And if there's tension between how you generate income for yourself and how you provide for yourself and your family and your life, that tension is always going to be like this, and it's going to be friction. And I don't want you to have that. And I had that for a very brief period of time and a long time ago, and I stopped it. Like, I ended it. I'll tell that story another time, but literally it didn't go on for very long because I knew that I could not sustain that feeling of the disconnect between what I felt called to do in my life, which you're going to spend like a ton of your life doing, and your actual life, the people, the relationships that you have, the family members, and so forth. So the first thing that you need to do, there are 3 things. The first thing that you need to do is clarify what you want your life to look like. And just by brief review, the second thing is to make sure that you choose a business, an income stream, a business model that is going to combine the ability to make a profit, not just money, the ability to make a profit. We're going to talk about that as well. And something that you love to do, because if you don't marry those 2 things together, something's going to be missing. You're either going to love what you're doing and you're going to be broke, or you're going to have a whole lot of money and you're going to really kind of hate your life and what you have to spend, 70% of your days doing, running a business or managing the people who are running the business for you, because that's not a handoff endeavor. Like, it's not like you go hire people and they do it. I mean, maybe if you're like, owning a multi-billion-dollar corporation, that might be the case, but that's not who I'm talking to, right? So if you hire people, it's great, but they're not just off running around doing what they want to do without your supervision. You have to manage those people, and that's a lot of work. Okay, it's a lot of energy. And so you want to make sure that you pull together what you love to do, what you feel you are called to bring out into the world, with how you make money. Put those 2 things together and you're unstoppable. And you have sustainability and profitability. What else matters when it comes to your life and your business, right? And then the third thing, of course, is to talk it over with your spouse, your partner, your significant other, whatever you call them, all those people in your life who matter. Okay? Because if they matter in your life, they're going to matter in your business, either in a negative way or a positive way. And you don't want it to be the negative way. So you need to bring them into the process. So for the rest of this week, we're going to talk about those 3 things on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And today's Tuesday. So we're going to talk about step 1, which is clarifying what you want your life to look like. And then, of course, again, on Friday, as I said, it's kind of an open mic. I want you to join me and ask your questions. So listen. This is for you if you are just starting a business or you're in the emerge stage of your business. That means you're just starting out, maybe 3 years in. maybe 5, kind of depending, but mostly 3 years or so in, this is for you. And it's also for you if you're longer than that in business, but you don't feel like you did some of this work early on. Because let me tell you, you're going to do this work. If you have a business and you want it to last, you are going to have to decide what kind of life you want to have. You're either going to do the work early on or you're going to do it later. Better to do it early than later. Why? Because by the time it's later, you've already got an income stream that you have to maintain. You have an audience. You have customers. You might have certain bills that you are paying with the income from your business as you pay yourself, okay? So you don't want to then have to go back and retrofit all of that. Now, if you have to do that, it's okay. Do what you have to do. But if you haven't gotten to that point yet, I want you to pause. If you're in the emerge stage of your business, I want you to pause and I want you to do this exercise because it's so important. If you want to be a lifestyle CEO and build a business around your life, then you have to know what kind of life you want before you build a business on top of that, right? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a chart with 3 columns in it, okay? The first column is your life. The second column is what are you doing that is serving the things that you want in your life? And the third column is what are you doing that's not serving those things, okay? So now, when you think about this, I want you to, again, write this down. I want you to be very specific about what you want, okay? So don't say, I want to be rich. Don't say, I want to make $1 million. Don't say things like that. What I want you to really dig down deep inside your soul, inside your heart, where your spirit lives, is I want you to decide what you want your life to look like. I want you to take a deep breath and I want you to decide what you want to surround yourself with in terms of surroundings. Do you like nature? What kind of nature do you like? Do you like trees? Do you prefer oceans? Do you not care about either one? Do you like farms? Do you like small villages? Do you like America? Do you like Canada? Do you like England? Do you like Australia? Where do you want to live? Okay, where can you take yourself physically to be in a place of peace and joy and happiness and fulfillment for you? Okay, so there's a physical aspect to this. There's also a spiritual aspect to it. Where are you most comfortable? Where are you most fulfilled? Where do you feel like you do your best living? Right? Not your best work, but your best living. All right? And then you also, of course, you need to surround yourself with people. So how do you want to interact with the people that you have relationships with? So, for example, let me take you back. Let me take you back to when I started the Indie Business Network, okay? At indiebusinessnetwork.com. For those of you who don't know, I'm the founder and CEO of the Indie Business Network. My members make amazing products. I'm going to tell you a lot about their products on this show as we move forward because I want you to experience what they're experiencing, which is the joy of creating things that other people can use and love and tell their friends about. My members make great products. But I started the business back in 2000. That was a long time ago, okay? Yes, I've been around for a while, okay? But that's really what qualifies me to talk with such perspective about this, okay? So I started in 2000, but before that, I had 2 other businesses, okay? The first one was called The Final Cut. And what I helped you do, this was early 90s, I don't know, it's a long time ago. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship at the time, but I felt like I could help people. Okay, I'm a really good writer. I'm also really good at helping people in their careers. I'm, really creative when it comes to, setting forth a career path, a traditional career path. At least back then I was much more now into entrepreneurship. But back then I was really into helping people do that. And I had an awesome resume. People were like, how'd you write this resume? I was like, well, it really wasn't that hard for me. So, that's a clue. Like when you do something really well that other people struggle with, that's a little bit of a clue that you might be onto something that you can actually love to do naturally and easily that you can make money at. So what did I do? I didn't quit my job, but I started helping people with the Final Cut resume writing service. And the Final Cut meant I was going to help you create a resume that was going to help you make the final cut, right? So you would get the job. That was the idea. Never mind that most people saw the business card and thought that I was a hairdresser, like the Final Cut, because there was a pair of scissors on it. Not the best thought out brand. But anyway, there I was doing this work, and it was great, and I loved it, but people didn't want to pay for it. They didn't want to pay for it because they could go to their job and they could get a resume writing help from the human resources people or whatever contractors, their traditional job, because back then traditional jobs were everything. Everybody had one. And they would just use those services, and people just didn't want to pay for it. It was a disconnect between what I wanted to do, how I felt like I could serve people, which was a passion for me, but I wasn't able to make any money at it. Now, there are probably some things I could have done at the time to make it successful, to make it profitable, but I had a full-time job at the time, and I just really wasn't inclined to do that because I didn't want my life to look like, a total full-time job and then a total full-time writing service. So I just let it go. And I think I had maybe five or six clients. And they paid reasonably well, and they were pleased with the work. But it was a lot of effort and energy expended for me to get those gigs. And so I just stopped because it just wasn't fulfilling me. It wasn't fitting what I wanted it to fit. But I still hadn't quite figured out why I was unhappy. I just knew it wasn't working. I really didn't sit down and think it through and go, exactly why isn't this working? So I moved on in my job, and then I eventually said, you know what, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to open a retail store, because by then I had learned how to make my own beauty products. I learned how to make candles, soaps, lotions, creams, sugar scrubs, all the awesome stuff I know you guys love and that my members make over at the Indie Business Network. I had learned how to make these products, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to open a retail store and I'm going to sell them. So I had a little bit of a financial cushion at the time, not a whole lot, but a little bit, like enough to get me going. And I was really confident, and I was single. Like, I wasn't married. I had no children. I could totally blow everything up, and it wasn't going to be a total disaster because I could come back and fix it all later, right? It was just me whose life I was impacting. I didn't have to consider other people at the time. And that's an important consideration as well. We're going to talk about that when we get to step 3 on Thursday. But I opened the store. I loved it. I bought ads in the newspaper. People came to my store from far and wide because back then, you guys, in the late 90s, nobody had an artisan store. Like, nobody was doing this. There were a few artisan products here and there, and they might be sold in retail stores, but I had my own store where I was making the products I sold, and I was teaching people soap making classes and all that stuff. It was really great. Like, Ian Levant's aunt, here's the secret, was one of my very first soap making clients. But anyway, I digress. That was like a moment of happiness for me. I'll tell you that story later too. But anyway, so I went ahead and I opened this store, and it was great, and I loved it. But the problem was I didn't know how to run a store. Like, I had not educated myself. I had good products. I knew how to teach people how to make things. I knew how to buy an ad in the paper, and I got featured in local media, right? Because they always feature local businesses. If you have a local business with a physical presence, you can get a story in all the media outlets locally. Like, make sure you do that. But in any event, so I had these media features, and people were coming, and it was great, and it was wonderful. But here's the thing. Like, even though I wasn't married and even though I didn't have children, at the time, I didn't have enough money to pay an employee, right, for every day. So I did hire someone to work on weekends, but those were my best days. So what I did was hired someone to work on the days when my sales skills were needed. And she was great, but she didn't really have sales skills. Like, she didn't know the ingredients in the product. She didn't know how they had been manufactured. I knew that. So I sold them all week, and then she came in on the weekends, and it was wonderful. And I felt so torn. Like, I knew that I was going to have to be the physical person in that store for some period of time. I knew that before I could, like, hire real staff and really just sort of ascend to the level of management. I was going to have to do it for a while. And that's the same way it is for pretty much every business, and as you start out. And so she would come on weekends, and I knew I was losing sales. Because I wasn't there to really pitch my own products and to be the voice of the brand and so forth. So I eventually figured out that a retail store was not for me. And here's how it really came to a head, right? I had a boyfriend at the time, and it was the Christmas holidays. And over the Christmas holidays, I was so excited. It was Christmas, like one of my favorite holidays. And like, I didn't have time to do shopping for my friends and my family members. Why? Because I was helping everyone else do their shopping. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just was not making me happy. It was giving me anxiety. And then over the Christmas holidays, back in the day, I did not have any security cameras or anything. So someone comes in and steals a bunch of my stuff one day. Like, I was like, oh, and then after the Christmas holidays, I had to do inventory. And so I just remember feeling so constrained in that environment, so constrained, having to be at the same place all the time. And then I met this guy who eventually became my husband, and like, he would show up like in the middle of the day. Like, when I was there, he would like get off work early, or he would have the day off. He'd be riding his bike around town. He'd show up at my store. Hey, I have the day off. Want to go to a movie? Right? And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun. But I can't, because I've got this store, and my assistant, she's in college, you know, she'd come on the weekends because she didn't work. She wasn't in college on the weekends. But I would leave anyway. I would put a note on the door, like I'd make a note and I'd put it on the door. And inevitably, right, there'd be no one there all day until my boyfriend came. And then after he came and I put a note on the door, like, people would show up and they would leave me hate mail. Like, they would write on the note, like, you know, I saw your ad in the paper and it said that you were here until 7 o'clock and it's 4:30 and you're not here. And I drove all the way from, you know, wherever, 20 miles away. Because again, there weren't a lot of stores like this back then. So people did come from far away. So they'd come all this distance. And so I realized I had to shut it down. So I closed it down and I went back to work. I got another job. I actually went back to work at the same company that I had before, in a different, that was at before, but in a different position. So I'm telling you these examples because I want you to understand how important this is. It was important back then, but it's super important now, you guys, because everybody is starting a business of some kind. I don't want you to be like everybody else starting a business, like everybody else going into entrepreneurship. I want you to think this through on the front end. You've got to think this through on the front end. You won't feel the negative consequences of not doing it at the beginning, because you're going to be in a honeymoon stage as you start up your business. Life is grand, it's wonderful, but you will eventually miss and be negatively impacted, adversely impacted, if you don't do this work on the front end. And it's not easy. No one really wants to do it. Like, we all just want to sit down and go, well, I want this, 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 and this, and I'm done with all that, and I'm just going to move on. No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to be very, very specific. I want you to write down what you want your life to look like. Where do you want to live? How do you want your days to be structured? Do you want to get up in the morning and go for a walk with your dog? Do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to maybe go to the gym at night instead of in the morning? Do you want to have children? Do you already have children as you're starting your business? Do you have help with those children? Do you not have help? If you don't have help, your life is going to look very different. Even if you have the exact same business as someone else, with the exact same amount of children that you have and the exact same life situation, your life is going to be very different if you have help versus if you don't have help. Now, not everybody is able to get help on the front end. So you need to really be aware of your circumstances and what you want your life to look like, because you cannot build a business on top of that unless you know that. Okay, so what is it that you want it to look like? How many hours a day do you want to work? That was really important for me as well. As my family has grown, for example, my children get out of school anywhere between 2 and 4, 4:30, something like that. There's a big time span between that. So I can populate those few hours with a little bit of projects, a few light projects, but I get all my work done before 2 o'clock, 2:30. Because that's really what time I need to go and pick up one of my children from school, because they don't have a bus service at this particular school. So I need to go and pick her up. So at 2:30, I might schedule a phone meeting that I know is going to last 15 or 20 minutes so that I can get a little bit more done on my way to pick her up, focusing, using Bluetooth and all that, so I'm not driving distracted. But I make the most of every single minute before I have to be in the parking lot waiting for her to walk across it. And I try to be totally done by then. If I need to pick up work after that, I try to wait till all the dinner's fixed, all the homework's done, every volleyball practice is over, football, clothes are washed, blah, 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 everything dog walked. And then I might try to squeeze in a little bit on the back end before I go to sleep. But I try not to do that too, because I want to get a good night of sleep. So, but this has evolved over time, okay? This has evolved over time. When my children were infants, I didn't have to go pick them up anywhere. I had someone to come into my home and help me. and it had to be done at a certain time because she could only work certain hours. Okay, so what I did though was at the very beginning on the front end, I decided what I wanted my life to look like. Okay, and I built a business that could sustain the changes in my life. So for example, I knew that I wanted to have children when I started my business. I didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. I knew that I wanted to get married when I started my business. I wasn't married at the time, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted that to look like, but I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like. I had an idea of what I wanted my days to look like. What kind of environment did I want to create for my children? What kind of environment did I want to create for my husband and I? What did I want us to surround ourselves with? What kind of lifestyle did I want us to have? And I considered that very strongly before I started my business. And I wrote it down, what I wanted that to look like. And then I thought, okay, now what can I do? Because I wanted to work. I just didn't want to work in the traditional way that, people work. I didn't want a traditional job, at least not for that stage of my life. And I knew that I wanted to be able to have freedom, flexibility, right? Those are two of the F's that we talk about: family, freedom, flexibility, and fun. I wanted all those things, but freedom and flexibility in particular was super important when my children were babies. Because we had millions of pediatrician visits every week. Somebody was always throwing up. Somebody always had an eye infection or an ear infection or a cough or a cold or couldn't sleep, and then I was up all night. So I needed to be able to work on a schedule that I could move and flex with. That was really important to me. So I had to create a business that was going to allow me to do that. And so that's what I did. And I can talk in detail about that another time, and perhaps I will. But what I want you to do is the same thing for you, because what I needed in my life, what I wanted in my life, is very different from what you want in yours. Okay? So I want you to, sorry about the dog. Sorry about him. I wish he would be quiet, but I'm almost done, so hopefully he'll calm himself down. But anyway, listen, I want you to think about these things. Again, would you do this? Would you do this exercise? Would you please? It's very simple. 3 columns. What do you want your life to look like? Be as specific as possible. What do you want? What are you doing now that is serving that? What is leading to that? And what are you doing now that is not leading to that? Okay? What sorts of things do you have in your life? What sorts of things are you allowing in your life that are not leading to what you want your life to look like? So you know what the next step is, right? Do more of these things, more of the things that are leading to what you want your life to look like, and do less of these things. Do fewer of the things that are not leading to what you want your life to look like. Look at your business and answer these questions honestly. And if you make this chart, if you do, and you post a picture below by tomorrow, 10 o'clock tomorrow, Wednesday, that's going to be the 9th of May. If you post your picture of this work by 10 o'clock tomorrow, May the 9th, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern, then I'm going to enter you to win an awesome prize, a wonderful artisan-made product made by one of my members. I'm not going to tell you what it is. In fact, I'm going to give you a choice of 3 prizes that you can win. But you have to do the work first, okay? So post below. Let me know what your thoughts are and your questions. But to win, be able to enter to win, you've got to post your chart. And I'm going to take a look at it. I'll give you some feedback and so forth. And I look forward to that. So awesome incentive for you guys to get some wonderful artisan-made products. And you get to choose what kind of product you want. So that's it for step 1, okay? Clarifying exactly what you want your life and the days in your life to look like. What exactly in terms of lifestyle do you want to create in your life? And then we'll build a business on top of that. So tomorrow we're going to move to making sure that you integrate something that you love to do with something that you can make money at. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Okay, so I will see you then tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.